The Chamber of the Yellow King. Short story. In the eerie glow of flickering torchlight, the grotesque masks of the three figures cast eerie shadows across the ancient stone walls. Dressed in robes and masks befitting the Samhain ball, they ventured through the dark, winding passages beneath the university library. Gabriella, a newcomer to these labyrinthine tunnels, had heard whispers about their enigmatic contents. Samble led the way, opening a creaking iron door with Armin following closely. Gabriella found no solace in the handsome faces hidden behind those eerie masks. Only the occasional glint in their shadowed eyes hinted at their presence. Clutching her satchel filled with the tools she'd brought, marbled yellow wax candles and a set of lockpicks, she couldn't shake the anxiety that gnawed at her. Channeling mystical forces wasn't her typical evening endeavor, and tonight, the boundary between the earthly realm and the unknown would be at its thinnest. Her hand instinctively reached for the rapier concealed beneath her robe, and her breath echoed behind the mask. Samble held the torch, his academic achievements allowing him ample mental space for esoteric pursuits, such as planning this night's venture. His mask, a grotesque exaggeration of a smile with a bulbous nose, mirrored his enthusiasm. Samble's relentless excitement had kept Gabriella awake the previous night, but whatever transpired within these university walls must stay there. Samble's future entailed a marriage to a woman of wealth and noble birth, not a street urchin like her. "Ready, Gabby?" Samble inquired after passing through the iron door. "As always," she replied and followed with Armin close behind. "There's no turning back now," Samble muffled his voice through the mask. "We have some time while everyone is at the ball, but let's complete our mission as swiftly as possible. Retrieve the book, perform this spell, and make our escape." Armin produced a vial of pearly liquid from his pouch. Several years older than the others, he boasted a striking presence beneath his enigmatic long-nosed mask. His career had accelerated beyond his years, but Gabriella was still deciphering his romantic interests. "Take this," he said, passing the glistening vial to Samble. "Where did you get this?" Samble examined the vial closely. "It wasn't easy, but given the importance of our mission, I thought it was worth the risk." "Let's hope you won't need it." Samble pocketed the vial, and they proceeded, the torchlight guiding them through the passages Samble knew by heart. The torch illuminated carved corridors, some of which appeared natural while others were cut at peculiar angles. Their destination was a heavy wooden door, adorned with meticulously carved runes. Gabriella recognized these runes from her childhood, having spent time with the witch who'd once cared for her. She realized the significance of guarding the book they sought. Armin produced a silver key, having acquired it through an unconventional means. Samble used the key to unlock the door, revealing a chamber filled with ancient tomes and esoteric knowledge. "Look at this," Gabriella marveled at the wealth of arcane lore. "In the right hands, these books could be worth a fortune," Armin commented. "But we're here for one specific thing," Samble reminded them. "The books are organized by authors." Samble reached for a large, heavily bound book with elegant, faded yellow leather. He handled it with reverence, revealing iron reinforcements and clasps meant to keep it sealed. Samble tossed back his hood, exposing his ink-stained fingers, and began unlocking the chains, preparing to retrieve the coveted book. Meanwhile, Gabriella's heart ached for a more intimate connection with Armin, but she knew she had to bide her time. As the chains fell away, the book seemed to radiate with newfound vibrancy. Samble appreciated the liberation of this long-restrained tome. The anticipation and tension in the air were palpable. "Now, let's get this book to the casting chamber," Samble declared, moving the book into his satchel. He locked the library door and turned to face the downward-sloping passage that led to a significant chamber rumored to hold potent magical energy. When they arrived at a triple archway adorned with white stone and runic symbols, they realized that the iron gate was more of a symbolic barrier than an effective deterrent. With the way now clear, they stepped into the vast chamber. Ancient, starry patterns adorned the vaulted ceiling, and stone tiers resembled a makeshift amphitheater around a triangular platform. In front of the platform stood a lectern with inscribed runes and a stone table with menacing manacles. "This is it," Samble said. He meticulously examined the room's layout and features, checking star patterns on the ceiling with his sextant. Gabriella observed the ominous mural on the far wall, portraying a decaying figure in tattered yellow robes, holding eclipsing suns and standing before a shadowy city. She wondered aloud, is this some sort of dark ritual? Armin, the scholar of Roman catechism, replied, worse than devil worship. The devil, an angel who fell from grace through pride, at least has comprehensible motivations. This is something entirely different. The chamber appeared purposefully designed for summoning and invocation, with arcane runes etched into the floor. Gabriella recognized some of them, having learned about runes from the witch who had once sheltered her. Her history with the witch was complicated. The witch had taught her many things, but their association had come to a gruesome end. "This is a powerful invocation, channeled from darkness and malevolence," Samble remarked. "We must focus our will to complete the task, recite the incantation as inscribed in the book, and use the vial to protect us from any backlash." The trio moved to the triangular platform, with Samble taking the center position. Gabriella positioned herself to his left, and Armin to his right. Samble, the most experienced with magic, spoke up. "I'll be the one to open the channel. You both need to repeat the incantation after me. We have to keep the magic balanced and stable. Any mistake could be catastrophic." "Do you understand?" Gabriella nodded. She'd never experienced anything like this before. Her encounters with the supernatural had always been accidental, a mixture of misfortunes and happenstance. Her connection to magic had been an enigma, much like her mysterious witch tutor, but she could sense the energy here. She felt the hair on her arms rise as Samble began the incantation, speaking in an ancient tongue Gabriella had never heard. With a soft voice, Samble recited the words, and Gabriella and Armin echoed his chant. The incantation seemed to ripple through the room, and as they continued, the air grew heavier with each syllable. They maintained a cadence, speaking the words of power in unison. The room responded. The runes on the floor began to glow, and the stone table appeared to absorb their collective energy. Then, as the final words left their lips, the room trembled, and they felt a palpable force gathering at the center of the triangular platform. A swirling vortex formed, the epicenter a yawning abyss, and from that void, a dimly glowing figure emerged. It was a shadowy being with piercing, otherworldly eyes. The figure stood before them, emanating malevolence. Gabriella, her heart pounding, felt a tingling sensation as the room's magic coursed through her. The dark figure began to speak, and she realized it was a response to their incantation. Samble's voice quivered, but he managed to communicate with the entity. The being, it seemed, had been bound here by an ancient covenant, one the trio had inadvertently activated. "The Book of Shadows," the entity intoned, its voice a discordant symphony of malevolence. "I am the keeper of the Tree of Sorrows. What you seek carries great power, but it is not freely given. To wield it, you must make a sacrifice." As the being spoke, Gabriella noticed something amiss. The dark figure appeared to be watching her intently, as if it could see through the mask that concealed her identity. Her unease grew, and she glanced at Armin, whose expression was hidden behind his long-nosed mask. What was the sacrifice the entity demanded, and was it too late to turn back? Samble, however, seemed undeterred. "What sacrifice do you require?" he asked, the determination in his voice unwavering. "The sacrifice is the essence of your very beings," the entity replied. "One of you must offer your soul to the Tree of Sorrows in exchange for the book's power. The room fell silent, and the trio exchanged nervous glances. Gabriella couldn't shake the feeling that the entity's gaze remained fixed on her. The weight of their decision hung heavily in the air. To gain the book's power, they had to sacrifice one of their souls. It was a decision with dire consequences, and Gabriella knew that the path they had embarked upon was far more treacherous than they could have ever imagined. To be continued.